Bro, when you're my age, which is old, and you do something right with a piece of technology, you'll be pumped about it too. Anyway, I guess that was my introduction for this message, huh? Great. I'm really excited to talk to you guys. First off, I want to congratulate and thank all the speakers so far. The messages have been great. The role-playing and the practicing the interview was awesome. I love the Dave Ramsey stuff. I do want to share, by the way, when my wife and I got married, you guys might not know this. He aims this at college kids. But when we got married, all of my wife's debt became my debt, and all of my debt became her debt, and it's now combined. You're one unit. So neither one of us had a ton of debt, but we ended up, when we got married, having 20 grand in debt. And it went from being like, oh, this isn't a huge number to, wow, this is a really uncomfortable number, you know? So we actually got on the Dave Ramsey program before it was something we taught in Leadership Academy. He was someone I'd heard about and was interested in getting out of debt. So I started following his program, read a couple of his books, did one of his courses, and we ended up eliminating $20,000 worth of debt in 1 year. And that was 100%. We were able to do it because Vector trained, and Vector Pay. Vector Pay is good. I don't know if you heard. But we were able to do it because of Vector, but we did do it instead of buying fancy stuff because of Dave Ramsey. So I 100% believe in that. And we still use some of his programs to this day that we've used to accumulate our emergency funds and our savings. And, you know, I don't know exactly how much you guys have heard, but he talks about not buying anything on credit. If you don't have the cash, you can't afford it. And we just bought a $60,000 car and then did about $9,000 worth of upgrades to it, cash. So I just want to, I'm just telling you from my own personal experience, one of the reasons I love what we do is because of the opportunity we have with Vector and the pay, but also the training with Dave Ramsey. If you do that stuff, it works, and I'll vouch for that. That said, I'm really excited to talk to you guys about Olean, and I have a two-part message for you. Number one, I want to talk to you about the trip itself, and then number two, I do want to talk a little bit about the push. Some of you guys have heard some of this stuff, but it really does tie in beautifully with what we've been talking about with, right, to earn a spot, you need to be funded and you need to be trained. Well, the Olean trip and the Olean push is going to help you with both of those things, right? If you want to get your emergency fund so you stop having emergencies, well, the Olean push is going to help you with those things. So it's all connected, right? So I'm really pumped for this one. I want to talk first about the trip. First off, who's already registered? You've already gotten signed up. You're already situated. Love it. Who's already talked to your professors and they know I'm out. You're like, I don't care if we have a test. I'm going to be out, right? Anybody? I know most of you guys probably aren't flying, but anyone already booked your flight? Sweet. By the way, if you're booking a flight but haven't, words. Sorry, Kate. You make me nervous. I love you. If you're booking a flight, make sure that you forward your itinerary to your manager, and the company reimburses for that. Most of us are carpooling, it's not that far, and you have to be at least 6.5 hours away, so some of us don't even qualify for the flight, but I figured I'd just put it out there. A couple of our guys who are away at school have already done that, but that's freaking boss. You gotta go to Olean, man. It is the coolest trip that we freaking have in the year for a lot of reasons. One thing I do love about Vector is that we have the same events every year, so our senior managers, almost all of them have already been to Olean once, but man, the seasons change, and for most of you guys, this is going to be your first Olean ever, so I want to start off just by painting a picture of what this looks like. So when you get to Olean, thank you, Google, this is not what it's going to look like when we get there, because there will be snow on the ground, but aside from that, that's what it looks like. You get there, you get the Cutco and the K-Bar Visitor Center. This is the coolest thing. They have a Cutco store that you can walk in and people buy Cutco. And my favorite thing, now they have to make a trip to Olean to go, right? So it's not like everybody goes. But here's the cool thing. I remember up by the cash register, they have a testimonial book that people sign. And some of you guys have done this on your demo. But it's literally like an encyclopedia of testimonials. And they put in their name and where they live and how long they've had it. And the last time I looked at this, I was flipping through, and I was like, wait, she lives in my neighborhood. What the hell is she doing in Olean? And why didn't she buy from me? That was my fault. I didn't make enough phone calls, I suppose. But no joke, my neighbor was in Olean visiting the factory and bought Cutco, and I was like, what the heck, bro? I did make a note of her name and put her on my call list for when I got home. Also, some towns have different animal statues, right? I don't know about the town you live in. My hometown, it's a deer. In Olean, Baltimore, obviously crabs, obviously. In Olean, it's squirrels. They got a Cutco squirrel? That thing is cool. I love this little squirrel. It's great. They also have McDonald's squirrel and some other cool squirrels. Like, it's kind of fun to travel Olean, like visit the squirrels. The Cutco squirrel is definitely celebrity squirrel #1. But Olean's amazing. I do want to share with you, by the way. So we go every year. I've been in Vector for 13 years, so I've gone to Olean 13 times. 2 years ago, my wife and I were planning a vacation to Niagara Falls, and it was vacation. So we were going up to Niagara Falls, and she was like, hey, since we're going up that way anyway, can we swing by the Cutco factory? And I'm like, no. And she's like, why? And I'm like, it's vacation. No. And she's like, well, you get to go every year. I've never been. I want to go see it. No, and I lost. I said no a couple more times. Still lost. We went to Olean. But here's what's cool, and I appreciate this. I was able to coordinate a private tour of the factory. So it was just me and her on a Friday afternoon. Half the place was empty because it was Friday afternoon. But we got to go check it out, and we have pictures with the squirrels that if I had thought about this sooner, I would have put a picture of us with the squirrel instead of just a random Google picture of the squirrel. But either way, it's a really cool freaking time, and I've done it 14 times in my 13 years, because once with my lovely wife. I want to introduce you to a man who no longer exists. Kate, you'll appreciate these. This was back in 2005, when I was still a child. No facial hair, no muscles. That suit doesn't quite fit. Hadn't grown into it yet. It's okay. It's okay. There was work to be done, right? But this was after my rep summer. I had just sold somewhere between 15 and 20 grand for the summer, and that was Matt. I'm blanking on his last name, but one of the highlight experiences in Olean is you have to go to this sign because it's in your blue book, right? It's in the blue book on the company page. So you go and you print the picture and you tape it in your blue book on top. It's good. You need that in your life. You need that in your life. Also, I want to introduce you to a man, James. Don't laugh. This was my first ever trip in the factory. They let me bend a cheese knife. I thought that was the coolest thing. By the way, back then the cheese knife was a brand new product. Like, it was just being introduced into the product line. Now we have 4 of them, right? But that was really cool. You'll get to see the product get heat treated. You'll see how they make it, the exact level of hardness that some of you guys know some of the technical stuff on that. But you'll see exactly how they do it, and they'll let you bend one before they actually produce it. I think a customer owns that knife, by the way, which is kind of cool. They were able to fix it after I messed it up. Also, I don't know if they still let you do this or not. I'm not promising anything. But at the time, I got to sit at a machine and pretend that I was sharpening a knife. That was kind of cool. I look like a pro.
Look at the lady.
I know, right? By the way, Kate, I cropped her out to make the picture look better, but Aaron Drew was in the background, right? By the way, this wheel, I can almost guarantee, I'm hesitant to make a guarantee, but I can almost guarantee you're going to get to hold this wheel. That wheel cost $5,000. That's a lie. Ready? It's a metal wheel. It's got grooves in it. Guess what shape the grooves are in?
Double D.
Thanks, Kate. Spoilers.
Sorry, I got excited.
Kate does love the double D edge. I can tell you stories about Kate and the double D edge in another message. But spoilers, Kate, for someone who's been there at least 13 times. But anyway, the wheel itself is the wheel. It's coated with a diamond. They literally use diamonds to carve the carve the edge into the steel. It costs $5,000 to recoat the wheel. Yeah. Yes. More than once a year. They do it though. It costs $5 grand to recoat the wheel. They let you hold the wheel like this is the double D edge, and you're like, I'm holding it. It's awesome. And it's really heavy. Like, he'll hold on to it and he'll hand it to you, and you're like, I've heard it's heavy. I know it's heavy. Oh shit, it's heavy. It's amazing. And this guy, he's just salty because he's not holding the wheel. Look at him, salty. I should have zoomed in on his face. He's not, right? Here's what's cool. We get some team time up there, and this is one of the few times, if you think about it seriously, at SC2, almost every single rep on the team was at SC2. There were a couple of you guys, though, who didn't even start selling Cutco yet. Right? There were some of you guys at SC2. You're like, what's that? I've heard of it. Is it a thing? It's in July, right? Some of you guys started in August and September. At COC, almost all of us were together in August, but there were a lot of people who either hadn't started yet or weren't in management training yet, and there were some people that were top players on our teams, but they were already back at school at COC. So it's been a long time since we've had the full squad together. When we go to Olean, it's everybody, right? We carpooling people in, we're flying people in, like we get the whole freaking squad, and we get some team time, right? This is one of my favorite pictures. This was taken in 2009. Ready? You see Kate Vassy over there? That's not Kate Vassy. She didn't exist yet. That's Kate Arbuthnot. Kate Arbuthnot, 2009. This was her third trip to Olean as a district manager. The guy next to her holding the shirt, that's our division manager. And Kate, I thought you'd appreciate if I blew that up.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, Kate was beautiful back then too. Equally beautiful back then. However, the photo technology on the cell phones back in 2009 is why things look grainy. But Kate was a rock star. But I thought it was really cool pulling up the old pictures and showing you people that no longer exist. True, right? True. So there's a lot of cool stuff when we do this trip to Olean. There's the car ride itself, the carpool, the caravan. For some people, it's literally going to be one of the few times in their life they're flying. The experience at the factory, it's a lot of cool stuff. I'll just tell you, the factory tour is the highlight, like one of the most fun, enjoyable things. And I don't care where you are on the spectrum of I just started selling knives and as long as it makes me money, that's cool, up to Kate Vassy and her love for the double D edge, or anywhere along that spectrum. When you go to the freaking factory, it's wild. You get to see the raw product. One of the cool things is that the handles that we have, it's all different color beads, and they melt them down and mix them together to make the swirly patterns, and you get to hold the beads. I know, you're smiling because you're like, is that cool? It's cool. It's cool. The rivets, you know, the knives have the 3 rivets in the hand. You'll get like each half of the rivet, and they'll show you how it's impossible to put them together. What they do is they put them in a machine, they layer it all together, and they go, wah! And they just force it, and that's why they never come apart. They never do all the stuff that crappy knives do that some of you guys tell your customers. And you get to hold the rivets, and you're like, this is magical. When you walk in, by the way, there's a whole, I know it's good. There's a whole special section of the factory for making the scissors, and I don't know why, but the super shears have a smell. And you're going to be walking through, I'm serious, you're going to be walking through, and you're like, oh, knives, 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 is this the scissors room? And you're going to like nudge your friend, be like, you smell that? I think this is where they do the scissors.
What does it smell like?
You got to smell it.
Oh.
You got to be there. You got to smell it. It's amazing. It's the greatest smell, right? It's like, for those of you who eat meat, I know not all of you do, but if you ever had like the greatest steak of your life and then every future steak is compared to that steak, for those of you who were at the Capitol Grill at Champions Night 2 years ago, that was the steak. But the super shear smell, this super shear smell is like that. Like you'll smell the super shears and every smell that you ever smell again will be compared to the super shear smell. It's amazing. They do some really cool fun... They do the really cool fun stuff up there. Like, you'll see the wacky returns table. I intentionally did not show you pictures of the wacky returns table because I didn't want to spoil anything. I'll tell you some stories, though. There's a dentist who tried to repair his own Cutco by using denture material. So he took a broken Cutco knife, dipped it in denture material, tried to glue it together, and then he got the result, and he was like, yeah, this is... bad. So we sent it to Olean. It's pink now, right? Before, like, not the good pink, but like denture pink. And he sent it back with a note like, I'm so sorry. Can you please help me? And they were like, you're an idiot. Here's a new knife, but we're keeping yours to show people how dumb people are. He went to 8 years of college for that. It's bad. It's bad. There was a woman who left her entire knife set in the oven. And I kind of get it. I mean, it makes sense, right? You got little kids. She had a babysitter coming over. She's like, I'm going to hide the knives. Didn't even think that the babysitter would want to make like chicken nuggets or something to keep the children alive for a couple hours. Melted down the entire knife set, like glued onto the oven tray. Babysitter's freaking out, like, what's going on? Family's freaking out, like, my knives! They sent them back to the factory. The company replaced the entire set. I think they did it at no charge, by the way, which is kind of cool. But they have, like, the melted down set. It's, like, one of the only times you'll ever in your life see melted Cutco. Right? They've got an entire section. It's wild. It's wild. And they have some fun stories, and you'll be like, this people. Anyway, they have that. They also do the product testing where they'll show you, like, we have there's a guy who comes out and his only job is to make sure that Cutco's the best in the world. They use computers, graphic design, 3D modeling, real life cutting tests. They go to the store and they buy the best knife that Wusthof has, the best knife that Shun has. There's other companies that make knives, and they buy the best ones and they put them in these machines. And you ever see like Robot Wars? It's like that, but it's knives. And I don't care if you're a nerd or not. You watch like our knives go up against our top competitors, and you're just like in the ring, like putting money down. Like, I'm betting $20 on Cutco. Double or nothing, put it in startup, right? It's amazing. And then also one of the cool things is they always show you the K-Bar factory. And again, I know some of you guys are like military, and you're like K-Bar, America. Some of you guys are like, I don't ever use that knife, but it's a sexy knife. You get to see all the K-Bar knives, and you're like, and then the coolest thing is they'll show you the new product they're coming out with for 2019. And this is where I get salty because they don't tell us. The district managers, we're exiled. We're out of the room. We're in a meeting. And I'm like, I don't care. I want to be in the meeting. I just want to go listen to the part about the new 2019 product. And then I can't. So I have to wait until dinner. And then I go to my candidates and I'm like, hey, what's the new thing we're coming out with? And then they tell me and I'm like, oh, I want to see it. I remember the year it was the wine opener. It got lit. It's amazing. I was like, I want to see the wine opener. They had like a whole wine kit. And I was like, I want to see. I had to wait until friggin' 2019. Best wine opener I've ever owned. This is an inside joke, and I apologize for my whole self, but Courtney and Colin, do you guys remember when they tricked us and told us they were coming out with Cutco chopsticks?
Bro, you've never seen a room so hyped for something.
I was hyped. I was like, Asian wife.
Ever in your life.
I was like, Asian wife, let's go. I was going to pre-order a gross of Cutco chopsticks, but then it was a joke.
It was gift cards.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they're like, no, just gift cards.
Yeah, they're like big gift cards.
Yeah, and then I was like, by the way, what they did, they had like they had the drippings from when they changed over from the black handles to the white handles, and it made this like drip of melted plastic. And they like the guy works in the factory. He's a machinist. Yeah, there we go, machinist. So that's all he does. So he like made it into a chopstick, but it was just him goofing around. They tricked us, and I was like, can I get a picture of them? And they were like, no, this can never get out. I texted my wife. I was like, we have chopsticks, and then I had to call, and I was in the doghouse because I had to tell her we don't have. It was a great Olean trip, except for that. We have a blast. I also want to talk about the networking. You know, this conference, you are viewed differently. When you were at SC2 and COC, you were a sales rep, right? You, all of you guys, you know, as you progressed with the company, your local manager viewed you as a candidate for management and those things. But at the region level, you were a sales rep. You were a starter, right? When you go to Olean, only manager candidates go to Olean. So everybody's looking at you as a 2019 leader, whether it's as a sales rep or an assistant manager or a branch manager or a district manager. You are looked at as these are the 2019 leadership in some capacity, right? You're going to meet all 7 division managers. You're going to meet Earl Kelly. And I know some of you guys have seen Earl Kelly, you've heard from Earl Kelly, you spent like a couple of minutes talking to him outside a conference, but you actually get to go spend quality time with Earl Kelly. In fact, the top sellers for the Olean push get to have dinner with Earl Kelly. The district managers district manager candidates. I don't get to go to this. Can I like quit and then like come immediately back and go to? I want to go to Niagara is what I want to do. He takes all the district manager candidates to Niagara Falls and just hangs out for a day, chilling. Awesome. Yeah, Colin James. How many times did you go to Niagara? 4?
3. Hey, don't blame me like that. It was 3.
Colin James, there was a year he could have gone district manager, but he held off for a year solely so that he can go hang out in Niagara again. But after that, Earl was like, bro, sink or swim, and
Pretty good time.
swimming. We knew he was going to swim. He just wasn't sure, so we had to go to Niagara one more time. It's okay. It's a good time. It's a good time. But you get the networking, and also with the owners of the company. I was talking to a couple people earlier, and literally Jim Stitt Jr., and this is one thing I love about just Cutco as a whole, but it is the biggest family-owned business I've ever seen in my entire life. The current owner is the son of the original founder. And he owns Cutco Knives and Vector Marketing Corporation. He's okay. He's eating tonight. He's good.
He's eating for the rest of the year.
But he's in for the year, yeah.
He's good.
By the way, his brother owns K-Bar. Just
They're good.
that's
Their
cool.
family-
That's so cool. That's so
their
cool.
family is good.
By the way, he'll come and he'll tell you the history of the company. It is a wicked cool story. Like every year I've heard the story. I look forward to hearing the story. It's an outstanding story, but I'll tell you that. And then you get to do the Olean push and give your countdown and your sales report in front of him.
Yeah.
Right, in front of him. For those of you who call field service for help, I know a lot of times your managers are really good, but if you ever call field service, and if you call field service a lot like I do, you get to know the people. Like, they're like, hey, thank you for calling Vector. This is Gail. And you're like, Gail! Gail and Billy Joe, right? Those are the two I talk to all the time. And then they come and have dinner with us. It's amazing. It's amazing. What else? I was going to tell you a thing, and I forgot the thing. There's a thing, though. That's a thing. You're supposed to be helping me out here. I need, like, a hint. There's some stuff that happens. It's really cool. Oh, I know what it is. When you do the factory tour, we go through the factory, but you also go through the administrative offices. You guys can bring your order forms to Olean. And you just hand them. Like, I got this. Can you process this? Can I watch you process my order? And then the answer is no, because you need to, like, go to the next station. But they'll take your orders. You just hand it. You can bring Cutco. By the way, you can bring your mom's Cutco if she needs sharpening. You can bring your own Cutco if you need a touch-up. And you just literally put it in a box, and you drop it off. And you're like, this is my Cutco. And they're like, cool, we'll mail it back to you. It's great. It's amazing. It's amazing. Last year I ran a lot of Cutco. It was a lot. They also have a special Cutco store there where you can buy like limited edition Cutco swag. I'm salty. I'm salty a lot. There's a lot of flavors. I occasionally choose salty. 2 years ago, they had this hoodie. It was so sexy. I'd never seen it in my life. I didn't know it existed. It was a gray hoodie with this like sexy maroon, like Clemson College maroon letters. I forget what it said, but it was amazing. The coolest part was it had wings. Like you opened up like to raise your hand, and under here was red. It was the most gorgeous hoodie I've seen in my life. I need it. But I'm on the Dave Ramsey program. I hadn't budgeted for it. I didn't set aside cash for it. So I was like, I'm not going to buy it right now because I'm a responsible adulting. And I didn't buy it. And then I couldn't buy it when I got home. And I was like, oh, son of a... And then I went back last year, and I was like, hey, do you guys have the hoodie? Like, I'm ready. I got my $50. I'm good to go. No. They had one extra large left. They raffled it off. Somebody else won it. I would have worn it. And they were like, never again. I'm so sorry. And I'm like, I need the wing. So all I know is this year I'm going to come prepared to buy a hoodie. They may or may not have a hoodie. I may or may not buy the hoodie that they have. But just in case, bring a hoodie. But you'll have some really cool limited edition stuff. We'll have K-bar knives. It gets really cool. And you get like the Cutco Rev discount, which is awesome. We have dinner in the... that's the thing I was going to tell you. I got it. Thanks, Ivy. Dinner in the old library when we're having dinner with the field service people and the owners. They serve with Cutco. You guys ever go to restaurants and you're a total nerd and you're like, I wish they had Cutco? Raise your hand if you've been like a super nerd and you've brought out your Cutco to use at a restaurant. Nerds.
I go to my car and
They have table knives at every setting. And the caterers, when they're in the back, like cutting the food and serving the food, they use the kitchen tools and the carving set. And you're like, this is how life should be everywhere. It's amazing. They'll announce the trip where we're going in the winter break, and I'll tell you, I don't know where we're going. Personally, I like to be surprised. Here's what I do know. We will have a trip that you can win over the winter break, and we go, and usually, I can't promise until they announce it, but it's almost always Super Bowl weekend. So Super Bowl weekend, your friend's like, hey, do you want to come to my house and party? And you're like, no, I'm going to fill in the blank that's far away and hot. Also, if you guys are familiar with the DC metro area, the weather sucks Super Bowl weekend. It's like icy and snowy, and we go somewhere tropical. Okay, now I don't know where we're going. I know that as a region we have a mission to visit the top 10 travel destinations in America, so I know we'll pick one in the southern half of the country. We have in the past gone outside the country to places like the Bahamas or Jamaica or Mexico. So I don't know where we're going. It might be in the U.S., might be outside the U.S. I can promise you, I guarantee you, it'll be really freaking warm. There will be places where you can walk around in flip-flops or barefoot, and you can take the classic, basic picture of your feet and put it on Instagram. And you'll see your friends posting pictures of, like, their team winning, and they're all bundled up in hoodies. And you're like, here's where I am. Just picture of my feet laying out in the chair. You know what I'm talking about, right? It's basic, but it's like, you got to do it, right? You got to do it. We also go to Good Times and hang out. They have, like, this last time they had this bar where they completely cleared out the bar. There's like a bowling alley. They have a bar. There's other stuff. They have like this like gym room, and they completely cleared out the gym room and set up these wild games. There was like a wild dance party that got really intense and competitive. We have some talented dancers in Vector, and then the rest of us stood around those people and clapped for them. But the talented dancers, and I know some of you are in this room, like there's a dance party and a dance-off. It's really cool, and then you get like the DC Metro people versus the New York people, and they think they know what they're doing, but they don't even know. It's good. They had, you can call it whatever kind of pong you want to call it. Water pong, other pong. They had trash cans, like the 30-gallon trash cans, and dodgeballs.
Oh my
And we were
God.
playing, there was no water in the cups. That would make no sense. We'd make a mess, right? But we were throwing like the balls like it was some kind of pong. It was great. They have shuffleboard. It's wild. It's such a good time. Life-size shuffleboard is more fun than you know.
Skills for life.
It's great. It's great. Here's what you're going to get from the conference. Number one, it is a ton of fun. The experience as a whole is great. And especially if you're a student, like it is incredible to unplug from school for a couple of days, get back with your Vector family, see your old friends from the summer, hang out, get the factory tour, get the fun. But there's some other cool stuff you're going to get as well. Number one, I mentioned already, is getting treated like a manager. Your average order will increase because of your product conviction going up and seeing everything. The pride and meeting the people that actually make your product. And by the way, when you thank them for making such a good product, they immediately turn around and say, no, thank you for selling it, because if you weren't doing what you were doing, I'd be out of a job. And you're like, I can't. You might take a cry break. It's amazing. It's amazing. You're going to get advanced management training. You'll learn new programs. You're going to get recognition. You will increase your rank and your standing. Actually, Kate and Courtney and Colin and the district manager team, we actually went through last year all the people that were in Leadership Academy, and we made a roster of all the people that were in Olean, and we looked at all the people that played a leadership role in our division, and it was amazing. Almost every single person who was in Olean secured a spot on the leadership team for this past summer. And the people that weren't in Olean, it was kind of like, oh, I kind of remember that person. They were around for a little while, right? It really does. When I talk about like solidifying your spot and getting to the next level, Olean is a major checkpoint. I do want to talk about the push, and I've only got a few minutes, but I want to give you guys some goods on the push, because this push matters. Let me turn my... Uh-oh. Did I break it? We good. I got you. Okay, this push matters. Okay, this is like the SC2 of the fall. It's the most important push, and quite honestly, we put a lot of emphasis and importance on the SCC push, but or the SLC push rather, but just like the SC1 push in the summer was the warm-up push for SC2 in the summer, the SLC push is the warm-up push for Olean, and this is the one where the big dogs come out to play. And here's the levels. The first level's only $1,000. You've got 3 weekends. It starts next Friday. You've got 3 weekends, or if you're not a student, 3 full weeks, or that's a lie, 2.5 weeks. But there's 3 weekends on purpose for students. You only have to sell $1,000. Some of you guys could like make a phone call, and you're like, hey, I know you wanted to buy the homemaker in the summer. I'm in a contest. You ready? Okay, thanks. And you hit 1,000. Right? There's some of you guys that have customers who have already told you, like, hey, I want to buy at Christmas, and you're like, cool, I'm in a contest. Can you just buy it a couple weeks before Black Friday, and I'll hook you up with a Black Friday deal, and you just work something out, right? And you sell $1,000. There's some of you guys that could sneeze that out in a couple appointments. But when you sell $1,000, what do you get? I don't even know. You get a thing. I'm assuming I've got a handout. Aha. I can't read what's on my slide. It's too small on my computer. When you sell $1,000, you get to give your report in front of the officers of the company. Can you help me out, Heather? And you all, oh, that's sweet. I didn't know that was a thing. You get a chance to win an NFL jersey, team of your choice, but if it's not the Ravens, it's the wrong choice.
That is invalid.
Very nice.
You get up on stage then. You get Apple AirPods. I'm not going to lie. I think that's what I would pick. Like, I love my Ravens, but I'd go for the AirPods. Or you can get $500 worth of Cutco, anything you want, your choice. And I'm not going to lie, if there's some stuff like you want for yourself, or if you just like, hey, let me get all my Christmas shopping done and give some really good gifts, but me spend $0, you get some options. You get some options, right? You sell $1,500, that's only $500 more. And you get, this is important by the way, $1,500, you get a $1,000 credit toward winning the trip in Super Bowl weekend. You guys tracking with me? You sell $1,500 now, you've already got $1,000 in credit toward the trip. You want that in your life. Trust me. Thank you, Claire. You sell $2,500, you get $1,500 in credit, and you also get a chance to win a Nintendo Switch. If you don't take that, just take it anyway and give it to me. I want that in my life. But I also want you to have it in your life. But I'm just saying, I might sell a couple grand for this push.
Just for that.
Yeah, seriously. Also, by the way, I could take the commission. I could buy a Nintendo Switch, but I'd rather Cupco buy me a Nintendo Switch, and then I was going to say buy something Tesla related, but I think I'm like Tesla out at this point. I spent all the money I need to on that car. I mean, I don't need to spend any more money on the car. We good. You also get a red traditional cheese knife. That's pretty sexy. And you get an extra chance in both the $1,000 and the $2,500 drawings. That's kind of cool. $7,000, you get $2,000 in credit. And you automatically win your choice of the Apple AirPods. If you take an oversized beanbag chair instead of Apple AirPods, A, I will label you millennial. B, poor choice. $10,000, you win our Champions Night in January, and you get $2,500 in credit toward the trip. So that's boss. Here's what I will tell you. You want to sell at least $1,500 minimum because you want the credit. I'll just tell you, I don't know the numbers. They change it every year, and like I said, I like to be surprised. Just FYI, you can ask Kate. She already knows where the trip is going to be. I've chosen not to ask her, but you can ask her, and the way that she responds to you is pretty funny. So I hope someone asked her just so I can watch her respond to you. But I will tell you, last year, you got credit in the Olean push. You also got credit for helping build the team for the winter break. And last year, again, I'm not promising anything for this year, but last year, our top candidates who maxed out their Olean push credit and they maxed out their team builder credit, they only had to sell $3,000 for the entire month of January when there's no school, right? $3,000 for the whole month, and they want a trip to go somewhere warm. All expenses included, courtesy of Uncle Vector. You guys tracking with me? You want the credit for sure. By the way, we have a history. We're in DC Metro. Like, we bring almost every single management candidate on the trip. Like, we got to keep that going. So we need you to come somewhere warm because we want to hang out with you somewhere that's not our office and also not icy and freezing. What else? I need to stick and move here. You also get the trophy competition. The top 8 office teams win a trophy. The top 3 new office teams win a trophy. The top 3 pilots win a trophy. And the trophies are really cool. You can ask Courtney. She's got some of the trophies. Actually, I think she's won a trophy at every single Olean I've been to. But they give out like limited edition K-bar knives. One year, there's one back there actually. That K-bar knife that has the American flag. That's like super swag.
This is one of our coolest trophies.
Yeah, that's like a freaking Olean push trophy. Like the cool stuff. The cool stuff is the Olean trophies. And again, it's one of the executives of the company that gives it to you, which is wild. And then you get a picture. I love Kate. I love getting pictures with Kate. But it's like I got a picture with the CEO of the company, the owner of the company, my region manager, and also Kate. That's a good picture. It's a really good picture. All right, you get the trophies. I also want to point out, I know some of you guys, your schedule is super limited. So there is top 12 reps win a trophy. Top 8 have dinner with the owner of the company. And then I also want to point out, some of you guys have a super limited schedule. There's a contest just for orders. So if you sold a whole bunch of cutting boards or a whole bunch of peelers, every order gives you a chance to get a drawing for either $250 added to your savings, a $250 tie in Pocket Square. I don't own a $250 tie or Pocket Square. I think the most expensive one I own is $90. I'm excited. I would be fired up. I don't even know what that looks like, but I would just be excited to wear it. Or for the ladies, you get a $250 Michael Kors purse. That's valuable. That's valuable. Right? That's just for orders. It's not even related to a CPO number. That's pretty fired up, right? I do want to share with you, there are some really important reasons that it matters to sell Cutco. Number 1, some of you guys need the money. Number 2, some of you guys need the savings. You're not hurting, but you've fallen behind in your savings target. Some of you guys just need the confidence booster, like, oh yeah, I forgot I can do this. Right? Some of you guys just need a little bit of momentum because you kind of lost it. And the honest truth is that action kills doubt and fear. And some of you guys have been in a spot, and I get it, stressed with school, where you're like, you haven't been taking a lot of action, and it creates doubt, it creates fear. If you just sold a knife, I don't care what knife, you sold a knife, it will give you some confidence boosters. And some of you guys need that. right? For some of you guys, it's just the pride of showing up in Olean, and whether you sold $10,000 for the push and won a trophy. By the way, last year it took about $4,000 to win a trophy, or whether you just sold a little bit. The way that you would feel showing up and giving a report saying, I contributed, right? Your managers need you, by the way. We're also super competitive. I don't know if you knew that about your manager. You all knew that about your manager. But we compete for trophies, and we need the help, right? The speed of the leader is the speed of the team. The worst thing ever, by the way, when you're a branch or a district, you're going to hate it when your people do this. Like, the people, like, didn't sell anything, so they come to the meeting, like, how'd the team do? And you're like, well, how'd you do? And they're like, well, I didn't sell anything, but how'd everyone else do? And you're like, well, speed of the leader, baby. Right? It's the worst. Don't be the rep that sold nothing, so you hope everybody else carried your weight. You got to contribute to the team. Leaders lead, right? And I know for all of you guys it's different. In my last few minutes, I'm going to walk through a plan, but we need you need you, and even if you're set and you got all the money you need and you've already sold $150,000 at Cutco and there's not even another sales promotion that's available for you to hit, at least make the contribution and help your team and get all the rewards that come with it, at least at the 1,500 and come on the trip with us. Yes? Or yes. Okay, so in my last couple minutes, I'm going to walk through just a couple of tips for you guys for maxing out this push. Number one is you got to set your goal. I'm asking you to write a couple notes here, by the way. Not a lot, but a little. Set a goal. For some of you guys, you're going to set a sales target. I know some of you, you're like 1,500. That would be a stretch. But that matters to me, and I want that trip, and I want to make it easier on myself to win the trip. 1,500 will be a great start. I know for some of you guys, you've already got momentum, and your schedules are a bit more available. And for some of you, you're like, I'm thinking about getting some Apple AirPods, or getting a Nintendo Switch, or getting a Ravens jersey, or winning a trophy, or sitting at the table with the owners. I know for some of you guys, you're like, man, I haven't sold anything this entire semester. My schedule's been crazy. I at least want to sell something. That's okay. I know for some people, they're like, let me at least get to 1,000 first, and then I'll figure it out from there. That's okay too. But set a target, because if you don't have a target, you will hit that target 100% of the time. You guys tracking with me? Have a target. Number two is give yourself an order target. For some of you guys, it's like, I just want to get 2 orders on the board. That would be a great start. And then make your plan. Now, I'm passing around schedules. Okay, I put together a template schedule. I want to walk you through a couple of divisional events that we're going to do. We're going to have a divisional phone jam tomorrow from 2 to 4 p.m. If you're in a local office, then you're going to be in your local office. For those of you that are away at college, then you will go to meeting, and we'll pass out, or we'll get the go-to-meeting login to you. And we're also going to phone jam from 2 to 4 to book appointments. Now, for some of you, you'll be booking appointments for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. For some of you, you're going to be booking appointments specifically for the weekend, just getting the jump start on it so we're not waiting until the last minute. You guys get that, right? And then after that, we're going to do an email blitz, and we already have it scripted out, ready to go, where you can send an email to every person who's already bought from you and every person who hasn't bought, but you have their email, and we're going to email them, and you can also put up a post on Facebook or Snapchat or whatever the case may be. Next Thursday, we're going to do a divisional phone jam. Again, for some of you, this is when you're already at your team meeting. For some of you guys, you're going to go to meeting in from 6 to 8 p.m. And then on Friday, there's an emergency phone jam if needed. Some of you guys won't need it, some of you will. And that schedule is going to repeat. We'll do phone jams on Sunday, on Thursday, an emergency phone jam on Friday. On Saturday, October 27th, Earl Kelly's going to be leading a regional call at 9:30 a.m. We want everybody to just call in for that. It's usually 30 to 35 minutes. You'll get a reminder from your manager, and you can do that from home or school. And Kate will also probably run one as well. And I'm not certain, I'm not committing Kate to anything, but she may also be running some contests just for our team specifically during the push as well. And then when we get to Olean, we'll drive up there, we'll meet up. We always block off a room in the hotel. We do a divisional order phone jam just like we did the Magic Car Ride for SC2. We'll do a divisional order phone jam. Then the push ends. We all go to Applebee's and hang out at the local. Like, by the way, Applebee's in Olean is like the spot to be. Like, everybody's there, even the locals. So like, this is where we go. It's great. It's great. The Applebee's in Crofton, not that good. Applebee's in Olean, poppin'. But this is the schedule. Here's what you guys need to do. You need to sit down as soon as possible. Maybe later today, maybe tomorrow, but sit down as soon as possible. Pull out all of your syllabi. Syllabi, that sounds better. Pull out all your syllabi for your classes and put in your class times, your homework, your study time, your tests, your exams. By the way, you knew on the first day of class when all this is happening. Some of you guys just haven't looked at it since the first day of class, or maybe even not then. But pull it back out, map it out, right? Planning to win. Okay? And then have a conversation with your manager. I just want to share with you, and this is my closing thought, every single one of you can do this. We've had D1 athletes. We've had people rushing fraternities, rushing sororities, be able to go after this thing. And if your schedule is limited, that's okay. We're not asking you to drop the stuff that's important to you. What we're asking is that you do the best that you can with the time that you have. If you're away at school and you're out of the area where all of your customers live, that is the greatest opportunity to do virtual demos. There's an office, by the way, number one in the entire, I could be wrong, I think number one in the company right now, has sold $104,000 in the past 6 weeks, only virtual demos. When they have a rep come into the office that can do an appointment in a customer's house, they literally pull them aside, have an intervention, like, do you know how lucky you are? That's real. I'm not kidding. Some of you guys may have already heard about that. $104,000, virtuals only. If you feel like you're not good at virtual demos, that's up here. That's not reality, and this is your opportunity to get good at it. If you're a full-time student and you play a sport, or a full-time student and have another job, that was me. Okay, this was my schedule. I'll show it to you. I had class on Mondays, Wednesday, Friday, 9 to 12. I would have lunch. I would go to the school library and do homework or study time. If homework was done, I'd do weightlifting. And then I had Leadership Academy at night. Tuesday and Thursday, I had class in the morning. I had a lab on the afternoon. So I would do homework and then rugby practice. Wednesday night, we had our team meeting. I just want to point out to you, Thursday night, we had rugby practice. I would have an emergency phone jam Thursday night. There were 2 times in the semester that I went to rugby practice, ran for an hour, and then at 7 o'clock, I was sitting on the bleachers while my team was practicing. I was making phone calls. If you know rugby guys, they gave me hell for that. And I said, you don't understand. First off, I was paying my own college tuition. That was not cheap at Loyola University. Also, there was a push. You don't understand. That happened twice in the semester. The other times, I just made sure I did it here so I didn't have to do it here. You guys get that? Okay? Friday, chillin' time. Video games, date, lift heavy things, go out with friends. Who knows? Depends. Saturday's a rugby day. I would do a couple appointments and then rugby shenanigans. Sunday, I would sleep in because shenanigans. I'd wake up, get it together. I had 5 demo slots. My goal during the rugby season, I would have 8 slots in my schedule. My goal was to book between 3 and 5 of them. You guys get me? Have 8 slots, book 3 to 5. I ended up selling about $10,000 for the semester. It didn't suck. Okay? I know that if I can do that, you can do that. And then quite honestly, some of you guys are fully available. You're not in school. You don't have another job. You just need to go back to doing what you did in the summer, where you call into the office every day. You go in for Breakfast Club or Champions Club or 10X Club or whatever you call it when you go to your office at 8 a.m. and do work and talk to your manager every day and after your demos. Either way, my closing thought to leave you with is that whatever you do now is the example you're going to have, and your people this summer will do the exact same. So be the people that you want to lead, and I'll see you in Olean.